Students, it's our lesson 61 and topic When Autumn Came Part 2. This poem is originally written in Urdu by Faiz Ahmad Faiz, famous Urdu lyric poet, and translated into English by American poetess Naomi Lazard. The poem starts with the depiction of autumn. Autumn, it is one of the four seasons, and it's a season that is between summer and winter. When autumn comes, it brings with it lifelessness, it brings with it destruction. And more especially the targets, they are the trees and then also the birds. So when autumn comes, what happens to the trees? The trees, they shed off their leaves due to the impact of the autumn. The leaves of the trees, they get shed off from the tree branch, and then their bodies, or what we call as their branch and the stem of the trees, that gets exposed. And then due to harsh weather, due to dryness, the green color of the stem, the green color of the branches, that turn into dark brownish color. So it leaves completely, we can say, the structure of the trees exposed to the harsh climate, or in other words, what the poet wants to say, that actually the leaves, they are the clothes of the trees. And so when autumn comes, it makes their bodies naked. And also with the coming of the autumn, when the leaves, they are actually the supporting systems of plants, of trees, because it's the leaves where the trees and plants, they manufacture their foods. Those leaves also become lifeless, because when first they start turning into yellow color, and then after turning into yellow, they get shed off from the trees. That means when there are no leaves on the trees become lifeless. So it happens during autumn. So that means the writer, the poet, he wants to say that with the coming of the autumn, the trees become lifeless, because their supporting system, that gets destroyed. And it here he calls the green leaves, they are referred as hearts by the poet. The leaves, after becoming lifeless, they fall to the ground, and then they are crushed by anyone who walks over them. And at the same time, the poet says that since they have become lifeless, they don't have that energy, so they don't resist or fight back. That why anybody or is crushing them, or they remain just on the ground, and then they are walked over by anybody, and then they get out of the shape. But at the same time, they don't fight back for their survival. This happens because when they become lifeless, and they become lifeless with the impact of the autumn. Then what happens with the birds also, or with the coming of the autumn, birds, as per the poet, they also get affected, because it's when the leaves of the trees, they get shed off, and birds usually build their nests on the trees. So their nests, or their homes, nests are actually their homes, they also get destroyed. And then when their homes get destroyed, they stop singing and dreaming. When their nests get destroyed, what happens also with their younglings? Sometimes their younglings also, they die untimely death. Or even birds also, they die, parent birds also, they die untimely death, because when their homes are destroyed, nests are destroyed, so they get exposed to harsh climate, coming climate, and they get destroyed. So birds also, they die untimely death, so they become sad, they become stop singing, they stop dreaming. and their younglings die untimely death. The parent birds also die, sometimes they also die untimely death. So all this, according to the poet, it happens with the trees, it happens with the birds with the coming of autumn. So in autumn we can say it brings with it only destruction. For trees it brings lifelessness, it brings destruction for the birds. So it is really harsh. Autumn is really, we can say that way, as per the poet, it's really very harsh and it's very cruel. Then the poet, in the last part of the poem, he prays to God. He prays to God of May, God of spring, because we know in spring everything comes to life. After winters, when spring comes, everything comes to life again. So he prays to God of May, God of spring, to give life to these trees and birds so that they can again resist, they can fight back the oppression caused to them by the autumn and survive. And the poet also says that even if a single tree becomes green again or a single bird can sing, that means that other birds and other trees, they will also get hopes of a new life. And then they will also fight back the destruction, the cruelty brought by autumn. So this is the concept given in the poem by Faiz Ahmad Faiz about when autumn came, or what is the impact of the autumn on trees and birds. But if we look at this poem from another perspective, this poem also speaks about the oppression done by the oppressed, done by the oppressor. That here, that oppressor is the autumn, and the oppressed, they are the trees and the birds. And autumn as an oppressor brings, or with all its might, with all its means, try to destroy or to crush the oppressed. That means the weakers, and who are weak. And here the weak are the birds and the trees, and they are the oppressed. But and they bear it because they don't have that resistance, they don't have that energy, they don't have that life to fight back. But at the same time, the poet, when appeals to the god of May, even if a single tree, even if a single bird can fight back this oppressor, that means the others will also have then a new hope, or they will also have energy, or they will also have that courage to fight back the oppressor. So it's for every, it's, we can say that way, it is a message for the oppressed ones to fight back the oppression, to fight back against the oppressor. And this is the concept, because he was a revolutionary poet, so he has given this concept in this poem. So this is the overall concept of this poem, of the oppression, of the oppressor, and of the oppressed. So overall a concept, so that it actually inspires, it's an inspiration for the oppressed ones to fight back the oppressor, and to gain one's life again, to gain one's survival again. So this is the poem, and thank you very much. In our next lesson we will discuss the stanzas of the poem, or the overall poem, in detail. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. Have a great day.